Header up.
Rob and Chris, they're on the air. Yankees, Mets, they're everywhere. From the Bronx to Queens, the diamond gleams. MLB talk, the ultimate team. MLB is the place to be. Rob and Chris with the pitch you'll see. Swinging stacks and stories fly. Baseball talk that's amplified.
And welcome to a new episode of NYMLB Talk with your hosts Rob and Chris as we cover the Mets, Yankees, and all of Major League Baseball. And remember, if you want, you could follow us on Twitter/X and TikTok at NYMLB Talk. You can follow Rob at R. Morosky. You can follow myself at CP7NY. Rob, we got a Game 7 tonight. How about that?
Nothing better than Game 7s. Hi, Joe Dell out there. How you doing? Yeah, nothing better than a Game 7, right? We always say that. Everybody loves a Game 7, and we got one.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a good one, too, because, listen, we've seen Seattle beat Toronto already in Toronto, the first two games of this series. You know, and then Toronto took the next 2 out of 3 in Seattle, and then they took the Game 6, and now we're stuck at Game 7. I mean, right now, I would think Toronto's got the momentum. But Game 7s we've seen could go either way. So I'm looking forward to tonight's game.
Yeah, well, you know, it's gonna be an excellent game. Well, hopefully it is. Usually Game 7s really are. And I'll tell you, with Guerrero being so hot, who knows what's gonna happen, right? It would be cool if it's a slugfest and Raleigh hits some home runs and Vlad does some stuff and we get like a really exciting Game 7, which I can't wait to watch it.
And I tell you, last night's game too, like the Mariners had their chances, right? They had back-to-back innings, bases loaded, 1 out, and they grounded into inning-ending double plays in both those innings. If they get runs, at least one in each of those innings, you know what? We're talking about a totally different game towards the end of the game. I mean, it was 5-0 at one point and 5-2. But to me, the Mariners, I don't know about you, but this is how I've seen the Mariners, at least in the playoffs and lately, is that they seem like a team, if you punch them in the face, when you get that first punch in, they almost not lay down, but they don't have the team to get back, to get back up and to get back into it.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. It's, and it's different than Toronto's different, I think, that they would get back into. Also, the Mariners had some shoddy fielding yesterday, too, if you remember, in the outfield. And, so listen, it brings us to a game 7. But there were some crazy things going on with this series. Like, what all of a sudden for Toronto, what happened with Scherzer? Did he get energized?
Oh, yeah. That's what it looks like, right? I mean, he's been around for so long, and maybe he's like he's squeezing whatever he's got left out of that the toothpaste, right? He's squeezing out whatever he has left, and he pitched great in that game, So I think listen, for him it's great. Guy's a future Hall of Famer to go out like this. I think that's what you want to see. So, but yeah, this is going to be a hell of a Game 7, right? Because I think both teams, they're not that far off. We've been saying it all year. It's wide open and all that. But Toronto, to me, looks more like a team that is built for the playoffs, right? They got, they got their superstar, but the rest of that lineup, Springer's up there too. But the rest of that lineup are just like grinders, right? They grind out every at-bat. They make contact, like every at-bat's a tough at-bat through that Toronto lineup. And they're not the greatest players. You're not talking about all stars in that, in that lineup, but they know how to grind, man. And that is what the key is in your lineup in the postseason, right? You need guys to make contact, grind out those at-bats, something that both our teams, especially mine this year, just did not see that in the playoffs. So,
I just want to go back real quick to Scherzer for a second. And it was when Schneider wanted to take him out, he would not come out of the game. That also was you want to see that, right? You want to see a pitcher say, no, I'm staying in the game, and it was just great. Like you said, it's a great way for him to be going out. If, did he say anything? Did he announce this his last season? Do you remember seeing anything?
Well, with Scherzer?
Yeah.
I think he just told him, I don't want to go out. Just
No. I mean, is this going to be his last season? Like,
I don't know.
Did he say anything?
Yeah, I don't think so. I didn't hear anything about that. So he still might be deciding, or he might come back next year. I don't know. Does he still have a contract?
I think it was just a 1-year contract. So
yeah, it probably was. I don't think they would have signed him to a 2-year. Hey, listen, I'm sure. Listen, at this point, the only guys that aren't available tonight are Yasevich and the starter for the Mariners last night. Other than that, I think everybody's going to be on board tonight. So if it gets to that point.
Yeah, no, it's all hands on deck, right? And that's what Game 7s are, because, listen, if you don't, it's win or go home. So, you can't think about the first game of the World Series, right? You have to think about getting to the World Series. So, you have to do everything. And, the playoffs have been pretty good, I have to admit. But, listen, the Dodgers just dominated the Milwaukee Brewers. It was just,
yeah, there was nothing there. I mean, that rotation by the Dodgers is one of the best we've seen probably in the last 20 years, right? Easily one of the best rotations right now. Obviously during the regular season, you had guys hurt or whatever, but right now you can't top that rotation, right? So if you don't keep that game close, you're probably going to lose. So obviously the Brewers pitching had to, be just as good as them, and they just couldn't do that. And the Brewers offense obviously is not going to score many runs against that pitching. And the Dodger, bullpen hung in. So that was our big question mark going in for them, right? And so far it's been okay. So we'll see. I just don't see Toronto or Seattle beating LA this year in the World Series, sadly.
No, I don't. I mean, I think it'll be more if Toronto plays, I think it'll be more of a series, but you never know. It's the Dodgers are just, and of course everything's clicking now, right? With the Dodgers. The Game 4, all of a sudden, Ohtani remembers how to hit in the postseason.
Right.
And he goes nuts. Strike, like we were talking about this Friday night. Strikes out the side to start the game, and then he hits 3 home runs in the game. Who's done that before? Babe Ruth didn't even do that. I mean,
right. Nobody. It's one of those performances that it's the best we've ever seen, and it may be the best we're ever going to see. I mean, like you said, not even Babe Ruth did that. This guy is Tommy mentioned it on Friday night, our guest Friday night. He calls him a unicorn. Yeah, that's there's so many words to describe this guy. Amazing unicorn, one of a kind also. I mean, he's a one of one. Like nobody else could do what he does. The guy pitches like an ace, and he hits like one of the best, if not the best hitters in the entire league. So we've never seen that.
And we're lucky to be seeing this. We're lucky to be able to watch this and say, because this is, there's, you go through stages of where there's just greatness in baseball, right?
Yep.
Just greatness. Hank Aaron, Mickey Mantle. We could name these guys, but this Ohtani is just like unbelievable. The guy could pitch, and listen, they made a rule change just for him for when he pitches.
Right.
That if they take him out of the game as a pitcher, he could stay in the game as a designated hitter.
Right.
Right.
Ridiculous.
So
yeah,
they changed the rules of baseball for one player. Okay, but could you blame him? I mean,
right. He is the face of Major League Baseball right now, without a doubt. And yeah, the interpreter thing and all that. Yeah, listen, if he wasn't Ohtani, maybe, this guy would not be playing baseball anymore, right?
He might be with Class A somewhere, you know?
Right, exactly. And Class A
Because
is pretty good too.
yeah, and Class A is pretty like last year he was one of the premier closers, you know? And then all of a sudden, poof, he's gone.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. He's gone.
That's it.
Right.
It's
We're never
like
gonna see that guy again.
and the Guardians, you know, and they got to the postseason. I mean, they backed into the postseason, sort of. I mean, not that they backed in because Detroit actually backed. Detroit blew that lead. I don't
Right.
know that division was just crazy.
I mean, but they played great down the stretch. Detroit
Yes.
didn't. And like you said, I don't know if they backed in or I think Detroit more or less backed in.
Yeah,
Because
Detroit
they
did.
backed out and then, back in. But yeah,
But
I
they
know what you mean though.
But they lose, you know, they lose him, and they still made the postseason. They didn't go far, of course. But it's like poof, he disappeared. It's like he went from one of the best closers in baseball, but they were making allegedly some stupid bets, right? Some
Yeah.
stupid, like you said, like we were talking about this Friday too. And I think what you said makes good sense, right? About DraftKings and all the Major League Baseball should approach them.
Yeah, I think so. Like, why have these? Why have these bets that you could easily, kind of manipulate, right? Like,
Right.
first pitch is a strike, or first pitch is, more than 95 miles an hour or less than 95, right? So if you can
Right.
easily tell a pitcher, all right, listen, just don't throw a strike your first pitch, and we'll give you X amount of money, right? That's a pretty easy thing for a pitcher to do. Throw it a little bit inside, you don't have to hit the guy, but just throw it inside or, throw a slider in the dirt. That doesn't look
Yeah.
suspicious, right? So
Right.
why not?
Listen, it's crazy. Some of these bets are crazy, but Major League Baseball is bringing it upon themselves. We talked about this also Friday. With all this betting going on, everything's now everything's It used to be things are sponsored by Rheingold beer and stuff like that.
Not anymore.
Schaefer beer, remember that?
Yeah.
But hey, Dan wants Seattle.
Dan wants, yeah, all right. I think a
All
lot of
right.
people want Seattle. I
I
think,
think you do too, right?
yeah. I listen. If Toronto wins, I'll be happy for Mattingly. That's it.
Yeah, we talked about that.
The rest of the team, no. But yeah, Seattle. I mean, for Mattingly, I'll be really happy to see him in the World Series. But like I said earlier, I don't think either team is beating LA right now in a 7-game series. I think it's going to be a sweep, maybe 5 games at the most. I just don't see either one of these teams having a shot against the Dodgers.
No, I agree with you. But all right, I wanna get into this with you. You said you wouldn't mind Mattingly seeing Mattingly. Okay, he's not a player, so it's a coach. It's not the same thing,
Right?
But Mattingly having a World Series ring from Toronto instead of the Yankees, how does that make you feel? Really?
I don't know. It's not going to make me feel good. I'll be happy for him personally, but as a Yankee fan, no, that's not going to make me feel good because I would, I'd rather see him win it with the Yankees. Obviously, either as a player or as a coach. Wouldn't it be great to see him back as a manager as the Yankees one day? And like we've talked about this before, like, yeah, I'm 50-50 on that too, because if he comes back and if he doesn't win, he's going to get booed out of, the stadium and, people are going to hate him and maybe a little bit of his, his legacy is going to be tarnished because he didn't win as a coach either. So, but I would like to see him back in pinstripes. I don't like him seeing him with a Blue Jay uniform is never, I don't know. It just doesn't sit right.
And he does look weird. Like the one picture that that we see from our friend Scott from the South Florida Tribune, right?
Yeah.
Where he's interviewing Mattingly just doesn't look right.
No, he doesn't. He doesn't.
But
he definitely doesn't.
But all right, so you'd like to see him back on the Yankees, but you don't want him to tarnish his legacy, right? But
Yeah,
what about What about a bench coach instead of the manager? At least
I would love it. I would love it. Bench coach, hitting coach would be more like it. I'd rather see him back as a hitting coach because he's done such a good job with Toronto, right? When you look at what Toronto has done, we just talked about the grinders in that lineup. Where do you think that mentality is coming from? That's coming from Mattingly. He knows what it takes to win, even though he's never won one, but he's been around baseball enough and he's seen what the Yankees did and how they, and how they approach their bats in the postseason and how every team that wins approaches their at bats. It's not just about getting up there and slugging home runs. Yeah, of course you want to hit home runs, but sometimes you just can't. Sometimes you just got to make contact and just grind out the at bats. And that's what Mattingly, I think, has kind of, made into this lineup. Because like I said, when you look at the lineup, I mean, who is out of that lineup other than Guerrero, other than your top three, right? You got Guerrero, you got Springer, and even the catcher, Kirk. But other than that, you got guys that are, just grinding guys, not really all-stars. Varshaw's pretty good in center, but they're not household names either, right? Ernie Clement, right? Like a lot of these guys you're not going to know, but you know what? They're playing to get into the World Series now. Now they're one game away. So, but that's what gets you in there. That's what gets you wins in the postseason. These grinding out at bats, not swinging at the first pitch after the guy walks a guy in front of you to load the bases up, like it happened with the Yankees. Right? It's frustrating. So,
but and let's go back to Mattingly for a second. He knows how to win, but he never played on a winner really. That really was not his fault. That time period, George Steinbrenner was making some really stupid.
Oh, he was
deals,
a nut job back then,
right? He was making. It took for him to get suspended, right?
Right.
For the Yankees to become great. Bob Watson and Stick Michaels. That's it. That's what did it. That's what made that Yankees dynasty. If George doesn't go to jail or whatever,
get suspended. No, I agree. Yeah, the Yankees would not have had a dynasty in the late 90s. There's no way. Because he would have traded 1, 2, 3 of those guys, whether it would be Pettit, Jeter, Posada, Bernie. One of those guys, 2 of those guys, 3 of them would have gotten traded right away, especially like when Bernie first came up. Bernie struggled a little bit his first year. He didn't look like the guy that was going to win a batting title and hit like 30 home runs, right? He was not that guy yet his first couple of seasons. He probably would have got traded, because Steinbrenner had no patience for young players. He used those young players to trade for veterans. And a lot of times that backfired because the veteran would come here and both of our teams see that a lot of guys just can't do it in New York. So it happens. But if he doesn't go away, like you said, for a couple of years, or not go away, but steps away from the team.
Yeah, not go away. I meant.
Yeah, no, I know, but I know. Hey, listen, for him, that probably felt like jail, not to be in control of the Yankees. Yeah. I'm sure that felt like jail. So, but yeah, if that didn't happen, I don't know if we would have had that dynasty run in the late 90s.
I could like almost, well, maybe not 100%. I could say like 80% you wouldn't have had that dynasty because he would have traded, he might have traded a young Jeter for whatever star there was at that point, and then that star, he look how many people he always went at. Look, he went after the flashy guys, and he got burnt so many times, right?
And you know what? They almost traded Jeter before that 96 season, because before the 96 season, Tony Fernandez was the starting shortstop for the Yankees, right. But he got hurt. And at that time, I think Seattle was willing to trade their backup shortstop, Felix Fermin, for kind of an unknown in Mariano Rivera. And they had gone back to Torrey and G. Michael, and they talked about it. They said, is Derek Jeter, is he ready to take over at shortstop? And they both said, yeah, he's ready to take over. And that's why they gave him the shot. And thank God that move didn't make, because that one move would have also crushed the Yankees dynasty. Because I don't know if they would have won without, Rivera all those years.
Yeah. Chances are they wouldn't have won all those World Series in a row. That's for sure.
Yeah.
They might have won the one in Arizona against Arizona, though. I'm only kidding.
I don't. Yeah. I don't.
2001. I'm only kidding. I'm
Yeah.
only kidding. But don't forget. Oh, Valentine beer. Dan's
Yep,
listening.
that's
to
another
it.
old time beer.
That's right, Valentine beer. Yeah. Now they're not even. I don't know. It's all betting. Everything's betting right now. Pete. Could you imagine Pete Rose played Major League Baseball right now?
Oh my God. I think he would have got caught in one of these betting scandals for sure.
And it would have been worse.
Oh my God. I can't imagine what that guy.
Going over, I was just watching stuff about Ohtani's interpreter, right? We saw those clips with the bookie that the guy bet on soccer. He didn't even bet on baseball. He didn't bet on football. He bet on soccer, which the bookie said is hard to win.
Right.
But who bets on soccer?
I guess soccer fans that know. Hopefully he knows what he's talking about at least, But yeah, listen, whatever. It is what it is. Listen, Major League Baseball protected him. I don't know if they'll protect him again because after a while, and they must have some sort of in with the whoever was investigating it too. Like if the government was investigating it, like they're not going to give this guy a break just because, right? So I'm sure baseball must have a connection there where, I don't know. It's definitely something a lot deeper than what we know. So
yeah, really, Joe Dell. What the heck could the line be on? It's a half a point.
That's it. Yeah, half a point. It can't be much more because every game is 2-0 or 1-0, right?
Or
so
2-1. It's ridiculous.
It's either win, loss, or tie.
so anyway, so it's good. We have a game 7 tonight.
Yeah, looking forward to it. Should be good. I think is it Shane Bieber against I think it's Bieber.
Yeah, but it's not gonna I don't know if he's gonna be in there long, but really if he's pitching good, they better not screw around with it and pull any of this stuff.
Well, Bieber took the loss in the game he started, right?
Yes.
Or no?
Yeah.
Oh no, he won. He won the game.
Wait, Shane Bieber. Okay, yeah, Bieber won the game. Yes, so you're correct.
And he beat Kirby, who's pitching. Yes. Kirby got hit a little bit.
Yeah.
He gave up 8 runs in that game.
Yeah, and Kirby gave, yes, I'm looking at it right now. So, we'll see what happens. I think Toronto takes it.
Yeah, being at home, you gotta
being at home in that place. And that place is, they go crazy there now. It's,
I know.
It's going to be, hopefully it's going to be a good game, and I'm looking forward to it. But let's get to the Yankees and the Mets a little off season since, the season's been over for a little while for both of them. What do you see the Yankees moves this off season?
Well, I think we heard, from the press conference, right, with Cashman and Boone, we found out that Rodon's not going to be ready for the start of the season. Yeah, he's going to miss the first few weeks. He's having surgery on his elbow. But should be ready by May at the very latest. And we found out that Volpe needs surgery. He's not going to be ready at the beginning of the season either. And that's the one that pisses me off the most, right? They knew he needed surgery when he first got hurt, right?
Right.
And okay, he wants to play through it. I get it, right? And I would give him the chance to play through it. I'd say, okay, fine. Prove that you could play through the injury, and you'll get the surgery after the end of the year. Maybe you just wanted to play the season, whatever. Give him a couple of weeks, give him 3 weeks, a month even. But once you see that he's not pitching well, it's time to move on, right? But I mean, pitching well, playing well, and hitting well. He did everything bad defensively. Yeah. In the field, he was bad. He couldn't hit. I mean, what did they? Listen. If you look at Judge, right? If Judge needed surgery and he said, no, I'm going to play through it, you know what? You let Judge do it because Judge is Judge, right? And you see what he does anyway. But on the other hand, Volpe, what did he give us this whole season after that injury? He was horrible.
Yeah, he should have just got the surgery. Yeah.
Listen, it
agree
wouldn't have
with
made a difference. I'm not saying that. Obviously, the postseason went the way it did. It is what it is. But I just think that their handling of injuries is just horrendous. So obviously, they're probably going to bring in. I don't think it's going to be any big time shortstop. Like everybody wants Bichette. They
you.
want to sign
Yes.
Bichette. Bichette, there's no way he's coming in because first of all, he's not even a good shortstop. He's a really good hitter,
Yeah, but
but
he's not a good fielder.
yeah, so I don't see that happening. I think they're going to go with Caballero, and they'll probably bring in another guy to compete a little bit or whatever. And I think that's until Volpe comes back. And they weren't like so confident on Volpe when he returns either, right? The way that they answered it didn't seem like they're giving him the job as soon as he comes back. I think they got to see something out of him while he's rehabbing down in AAA or whatever.
Yeah.
So we'll see about that. And then pitching, obviously, they do have pitching, but right, Rodon's not going to start the season. Obviously, Cole's not going to start the season, right? He's going to be a couple of months back.
Yep.
So maybe they go after a pitcher as well this offseason, just because we always say you never have enough pitching. Because with those guys, yeah, they got a really good rotation with the guys that they have already, with Fried, with Schlittler. Then you add in Luis Hill and Will Warren as well. So I think they'll be okay, but they'll probably add a pitcher there. The bullpen, obviously, we've been talking about it, needs a lot of work. You got Bednar as your closer. Duvall could be a good setup guy, but then after that, they're probably going to exercise the option on Tim Hill's contract.
Yeah.
I think it's like $3 million or $5 million. That they'll bring him back easily, but they still got to add pieces to the bullpen and probably a couple of bench pieces. And I think that obviously everything's going to be Bellinger or Grisham, right? Those guys are both free agents. What are they going to do? They're probably going to try to sign Bellinger back, but if somebody offers him, some crazy contract that the Yankees don't want to go that long or that high, you know what? They're going to look at someone else, and maybe the Mets try to sign one of those guys because you guys need a center fielder yourself.
Yeah, we need a center fielder. And then you heard the little thing. Well, maybe the Mets will go after Bellinger. Who knows?
It's possible, and he's really good. I mean, he's a great fielder.
Yeah,
pretty good bat.
He definitely is. But we were talking about George Steinbrenner before, and I know if George Steinbrenner was still alive, I don't think Boone's still going to be manager of the Yankees.
Probably not. I just don't know how. I don't know how Steinbrenner would have handled the whole how analytics has taken over the game, right? I don't know how he would have accepted that. Because listen, analytics have been around forever. So for people to say, "Oh, they just started," it's not. Analytics have been around forever.
Listen, Bobby V used it when he was managing the Mets.
Right.
They talked about Bobby V with his computer and everything. So yeah, he used it. It's just really, really, it's taken over now. There's not too many old school managers anymore.
Yeah.
But go ahead. Yeah. So you don't know how Steinbrenner.
I'm not sure. I don't know. I mean, what do you think? I'm sure he would have accepted it, but I don't know. And listen, and this is the other thing too. I think it was the fan that had Cashman on, and it was after Derek Jeter had made comments on the broadcast about saying that he doesn't think Boone is making all the decisions on his own and all this stuff. And then they confronted Cashman. Listen, whether we believe Cashman or not, I'm happy he defended what's going on. He said it's all on Boone. He's making all the decisions. We don't tell him who to pitch. We don't tell him the lineup and all that stuff. So whether we believe that or not, I'm happy he at least defended himself.
But okay, he said that, but how do we know he's telling the truth? Because we know what's going on with other clubs. All right. We had a former manager on the show a couple of times who told us that a lot of who knows, a lot of the moves are being made by the front office.
Right.
And we hear that. So, I don't know. Just because Cashman says that it's not doesn't mean.
Oh, no, that's what I'm saying. Believe him or not, that's one thing. But I'm happy, though, that he defended himself, at least to that extent. And that's all he could do. I'm sure he's not going to say, yeah, listen, we're making all the decisions, because then I'd say, okay, what are you wasting money in paying Boone to sit there if you're going to tell him everything what to do anyway? Right. Like,
Yeah.
so it's kind of a waste. I'm sure, listen, I look at it this way. I'm sure Boone is making some decisions,
Yeah.
but I'm sure I'm sure before the game, they like map out, right? They map out the pitching. Okay. If he gets to the 5th inning, if he's there and, he's going to get to the 3rd, if the lineup is going to see him for the 3rd time, okay, then we bring in, X player, B player, then we go this, and this. So I'm sure they're doing it that way, where they kind of map out the game the best they can. But obviously things change in the game, right? It doesn't always go as planned. So, so I don't know. I think with that game with Schlittler, right, where he pitched against the Red Sox when he had that great game.
Yeah.
There's no way analytics told him to stay in the game. There's no way, because we don't see that anymore. Right, we don't see that. I think after he got through the lineup twice, I think he would have got taken out. If we're going by analytics, right?
Yeah.
So I think in that game, I think that was all Boone saying, you know what? I do not want to bring in those guys from the bullpen. I do not trust them because they've been bad. So I could see, Boone say, you know what, listen, I know the numbers are telling us we got to take him out now, but I can't. I don't trust those guys in the bullpen. The only guy I trust is Bednar. He's the only guy I trust right now. So
that's right.
If we could get to the 8th inning, yeah, then I'll bring in Bednar, but thankfully Schlittler pitched and, he pitched great that game. So but I don't think that was analytics. I think analytics would have gave him the hook.
Oh yeah. I think absolutely. And which drives me crazy, because if you have a pitcher, right, and he's throwing a no-hitter through 6-7 innings and they take him out, you would have to pull me off of that mound.
Yeah.
All right. Because, 7th inning. And that's where analytics really, it sucks. I'm going to tell you. Sometimes you just got to leave the guy in. And, that's it.
There's got to be you as a manager, you got to trust your player, the pitcher. You got to trust your catcher, right? You got to trust your instincts. If you go out there and he's like, no, I don't want to go. I don't want to come out. But the catcher is giving you the look like, yeah, all right, this guy's done. You know what I mean? Like they know as much as anybody else on when it's ready, right? A starting pitcher very rarely puts up his hand and goes, all right, it's time to take me out, right? They want to stay in. They'll stay in until their arm falls off. Yeah. So I think, listen, a manager has to trust his instincts, has to know his players, has to also trust his catcher too. His catcher is going to tell him, yeah, his stuff is still great. He'll be fine, whatever. Leave him in another inning. Let him get through this, whatever, whatever the situation is. So, but I think in that game, I think he just trusted him. I think more so, not that he trusted him as much as he was looking in that bullpen saying, I don't trust any of those guys right now. I don't want any of those guys touching this mound in this game because it's do or die. If we lose this game, we're going home, right? So I think that was that game was a great example of he went against analytics. Right. I'm sure if we go through most of the season, he probably went by analytics 9 out of 10 times. But I'm sure there were times where he was like, all right, you know what? I got to go this way because it just feels right, and I've always said with Boone, he's been around so long. He's been around the game for so long. It's not like, it's not like he wasn't a player. This guy grew up in a stadium, right? Because his father, his grandfather, and then his brother played. He played for a few years. And then he watched the game from, doing ESPN games. So he's done it from start to finish here. So he knows the game as good as anybody else. Sure. Right. But he does believe in analytics.
Yeah, he definitely does. And Joe Dell, yeah, you're right. Now hindsight is 2020, right? He should have been taken out, but he wasn't taken out.
But again, what happened? Who was your closer then?
Well,
you don't feel if it was Diaz. Think about it. If that was Diaz, where a guy that is going to come in and shut the door 10 out of 10 times, you're going to bring in Diaz. Who was the closer? What's his name?
You know what? of course you're going to trust Diaz, right? You're going to,
Yeah.
but it was Jeurys Familia in 2015.
Right, Familia, right. So
and he had a good year. I can't say
he
much
was
against
good,
him.
but it
You
wasn't
know,
Diaz year.
listen, no, listen. In 2015, he had 43 saves, so he was pretty good.
Yes.
But yes, he's not Diaz, of course, but we've also seen Diaz blow a couple of games.
Right.
But the thing is that, you know, that he did not want to come out of the game, and he was pitching great up until that point, and it was a mistake to.
And that was another situation where it went against analytics. He probably went out there. Harvey probably's like, I'm good. I feel great. Don't even think about taking me out. I'm good. Right.
Yeah.
Think of it. And he's probably like, listen to the crowd. If I get taken out, you're going to get booed and we're going to lose that momentum, you know? So I think for that matter, I think that was, I think that was against analytics too.
Yeah, I think you're right. Cause Terry Collins even said, you know, I wanted to take him out and I should have taken him out, but
absolutely. His pitch count was probably over 100, right? It was probably over 100 at that point. So, you know, I'm sure his piece of paper, they all got the book with all the numbers in it.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
So
yes,
we all got it. So it was probably like, oh, we got to take him out, you know. And then I'm sure in the dugout when he came in after the 8th inning was like, how do you feel? I feel great. I'm good. I'll finish this.
Listen,
you know?
everything is so different now in that dugout. Yeah. You know, they all have their iPads, right? It's just amazing. They could pull up anything at any moment, like we could do. They could check out old video during the game as everything's going on. So it's just things are just different. It's not old school.
And you know what? And that was the game, and that's a game that the analytics people will say, "See, I told you."
Yeah,
right.
Right.
That's that. They'll say, "See, that's why you take him out." Because we told you to take him out. He was not going to. So you can't win. It's either way. But I like it better with. I this is how, like, I think if I ran a team, I would say, yeah, I would have the analytics group give me all the numbers. Here you go. Get a nice little book set up every game and give it to my manager and say, here you go. If I trust that manager, if I'm paying my manager, whatever, $10 million, $7 million, $5 million, whatever it is a year, I trust him to manage the game. So here's the numbers. You manage the game. And if he stinks, we'll get a new guy, you know, exactly. But let him manage the game.
Yeah, but that's just the way it is right now. Now let's get into the New York Mets and the offseason, right? Yes. They have holes to fill. We know center field and starting pitching are the main problems for the Mets. They got the 3 kids, right? McClain, he looked great. So he's ready.
He's definitely.
You know, Sproat, he was all right. Tong was overwhelmed. We saw what happened against the Texas Rangers when he pitched against DeGrom, right? He just got, you know, it was like a deer.
Do you think he makes the rotation right out of spring training?
Who's Tong?
Yeah.
I don't know if he does this year. I guess it depends on
I'll ask you this question. Out of those 3, who do you think has the best shot to get traded?
Out of those 3 right now, I would say Tong does, you know, out of those 3. Right. I mean, I know who doesn't. McClain.
Right.
Doesn't.
I think he's untouchable. Yeah.
Okay. He's untouchable.
We've heard Skubal, right? Possibly being traded from, you know, that's the rumor now. Would you give up any one of those guys for Skubal?
Of course, because Skubal's proven the best.
Would you give up McClain?
Pitchers. Not McClain, no.
Okay, so the other 2 you would be willing. Okay.
Yes, I would be willing. And remember, the Mets have trade pieces. The Mets are in better shape than everyone else. The Mets do have the #1 farm team in baseball. So they have the key is they have players that are ready for the major leagues right now that they could trade, right? They could trade Acuna. I wouldn't trade Beatty because he looked pretty good at the end of the year. So I think he's come around. I don't know what to do with Vientos. I have no idea what is with that guy. You know, They
He's
have,
probably going to get traded just for the way you're saying that. He's probably going to get traded because if you're saying that, I'm sure the team is like, what do we do with this guy? Can't
but
put him
also
in
you
third.
have, yeah, you also have Mauricio, right?
Right.
He's
What do you do with
another
him?
one. You know, so they have trade pieces. Listen, if they want to trade a young pitcher like a Tong with Vientos for for Skubal, I would do that. Who wouldn't do that? Detroit is going to want as much as they could get. That's even if Detroit, we're hearing rumors, but that's
Right.
even
You know
Detroit.
that's just, and here's the thing: they don't have to trade him right away. They could end up saying, you know what, we'll wait till the trade deadline and trade then. They might get a little less at the trade deadline, but they might wait till then, right? And say, like, listen,
Right.
if our season is going great, imagine if they have the season they had this year up until the All-Star break. They might not move them. They might say, listen, we got to take a chance and go for the World Series, right? We
You're
can't
right.
trade this guy. Without him, we ain't winning it. So
No.
so I don't know what they're going to do. It's going to be curious to see. And you would hope that they would sign their own guy, but then we go back to, the salary cap and all that stuff. So
that's part of the fun of the off season, right? All these rumors and things people say, a lot of them, of course, on talk radio are really stupid. I love when a caller says, he wants to get rid of 6 of the worst players on the team for for a Skubal, right?
Right, yeah.
We'll trade this one, we'll trade that one, we'll trade this one.
Of course. That's what I want to do. Start from the bottom. Yeah. Start from your reserves or the guys that didn't do well. Yeah. I'll get the best pitcher in baseball for my scraps. Yeah.
Yeah. But, the Mets have some things they have to take care of. Like Jeff McNeil. Hey, listen, I don't think he's an everyday player anymore. I think, coming off the bench, okay, but, he's not what he was.
More of a utility guy, right?
Yeah, he's an excellent utility guy. And that's, but with the injuries, he had to start a lot more games. And, like we said, the Mets thought.
To me, the big questions start at the top, right? Alonso and Diaz. What are they going to do with those guys? Because if you have the mentality of, we can't give Alonso an extended deal, fine. But you got to replace that guy, right? That's 50 home runs that you got to find in your, you got to find 50 home runs that he's leaving with.
You're right. That's what I said to you. I think Pete Alonso means more to the Mets than any of the other teams. But, Alonso, and after this year, listen, last year is a year he should have had the year before, right? His first walk year. He should have had this year. And then we wouldn't have had to go through what we did last offseason, which was crazy. But listen, he opted out. You can't blame the guy. He had a great season.
Yeah.
Does he loves being a Met, but money talks and the length of the contract talks. And I think though he's the best fit for the Mets, and I think the Mets, and we've said this, Chris, it comes down to one thing. If Steve Cohen wants Alonso will be a New York Met for life.
Yeah.
It's up
I don't know if Stearns wants to sign him.
I don't think Stearns, but it's not. That's another case. It's not up to Stearns.
Right.
It's up to Cohen. Listen, Stearns has to do, if Cohen wants to re-sign Alonso, like he's a great Met, came up through the system, Met for life, then that's going to happen. But that's the key, right? That's the key to Alonso.
Absolutely.
But I think, the Mets,
I think too, like he has to understand, he has to start to transition more into a DH than a first baseman.
You're right. And we talked about this Friday.
And that's going to be tough.
You're right. Yes, we talked about this Friday night, Chris. He does. And, I think he'll come. I think after he signs this contract, that stuff's going to happen. Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I think is going to happen. But, the Mets can't do what they did last offseason and just, but no one went after him. It's not only the Mets, right? You didn't hear much about Alonso. All winter we're like, what's going on with Alonso?
Right. It seemed weird. Yeah. I thought there'd be more out there for him, but there really wasn't. I would think there's going to be more this year.
I think so.
But I think he has to put it out there like, I'll DH, I'll DH. And listen, he could. And I don't think teams are saying you're never going to play first base again. But I think we'd rather have you as a DH, and maybe part-time first baseman, that type of deal, but not no more first base,
I agree with you. And yes, Diaz is a big question. Diaz hasn't said anything yet. The only thing he said is, he has to think about, he said he loves being a New York Met and he has to think about what he's going to do. So we have to wait for him to opt out.
Right.
And, I'm sure he hopes that the Mets will make a deal for him. Listen, nothing's better, this, than being a closer when your team is winning in New York, right? When the crowd's going nuts, they're playing your song like Mario, Enter Sandman, and him with the trumpets, and that's got to pump you up, and so there's no place like it. But yes, the Mets I think they have to re-sign and make a deal. If he opts out, they have to make a deal with Diaz because he's important. We saw what happened the year that when he got hurt in WBC, right?
Exactly. And he's got, I didn't know this, but he's got, if he doesn't opt out, he has 2 years plus a third club option, right? Yeah. So the next 2 years are at 15-ish million the next two seasons. And then a $17 million option for his third year.
Yeah.
Is a team going to give him more than 3 years and like $50 million?
I don't know.
He's going to be 32 next year.
He's going to be 32.
In March.
Yes. But you got to remember, too, like some of these teams are crazy. And with a closer like him, some of them give out outrageous contracts.
Yeah.
I'm glad that the Yankees signed Bednar, so I don't have to hear about the Yankees trying to sign Diaz.
They still might. You never know, because they do need more in the bullpen. They can move Bednar into the setup role. I don't think they will, but you never know. Hey, listen, any team that needs a closer, the first guy they're going to look at if he becomes a free agent is going to be Diaz.
Oh, right? Yeah, of course he is.
Him and Helsley are probably 1 and 2. Helsley is, I don't know. That's the other thing. If Diaz leaves, you're gonna sign Helsley instead? No, right?
No. Like, is it a fluke what happened with Helsley?
Probably.
Oh, look. Hey, Sally, how you doing? This is I know Sally very well. Glad that you're out there. I know we've talked about the Mets together a bunch of times. Another thing, like we said, center field, Chris. Stearns thought that a combination of Siri and Taylor were gonna that's my cousin Sally out there, Chris. Anyway, cool. They thought that Siri and Taylor were going to get them to the postseason. All right. We saw what happened. No, they have to do something. And then Mullins, and I have to admit, and I told you, I wanted Mullins. I cannot say anything.
I think most people wanted Mullins. I don't think that's a stretch, that you were. I think a lot of people were saying, because Mullins is a pretty solid, center fielder usually. Not what we've seen.
And it was horrible. It was just a horrible, horrible move. It didn't work out. Let's put it this way. It wasn't a horrible move at the time making the move.
Right.
We thought that the Mets made all the right moves, right? Helsley, we thought. Taylor and Mullins. We're like, well, the Mets made the moves that they had to make, and they flopped except for, I would say, getting Rogers, he was all right.
Rogers was okay, I thought, right? He was
all right. But we saw what happened. The Reds backed in. How could the Mets let the Reds back in? Ridiculous. But that mess is over with. Both our teams have a mess. I want to announce before the end of the show. So, people, in case people, I don't know. But we have some great guests coming up, Chris. And the next 2 Mondays, right? We have some great former Major League Baseball players coming on the show. I can't wait. I really cannot wait, because we love when we have them on.
Yeah,
it's great.
They have the best stories.
Yeah, we have John D'Acquisto coming on next Monday. He pitched for the San Francisco Giants, the Padres, the Expos, to name a few.
The A's,
The A's,
the
and I
Cardinals,
think the Angels. Oh, the Cardinals. The
the
Cardinals.
Angels too. I think too.
Yeah, and the Angels.
Right.
So he's gonna listen. He's got to have a lot of stories, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But November 3rd, the following Monday, 2 weeks from today, we have the return, right, of Ed Lynch, former Mets player, Cubs player, and Cubs GM. He'll be on 2
So
weeks.
come back and have your questions ready, because you got these guys on here. So ask your questions in the comments. You could send them to us if you want through Twitter and also through TikTok or our personal pages. If you can't come on the show live, but we'd love to have you on live, because we'd rather have those questions on, as they're here, and they could answer them, as they come in. It would be awesome.
Well, yeah, one thing I have to tell you guys, Ed Lynch wants questions because he wanted to come on live, so because we had him on tape, we had him taped. The last show he did, it was taped. Yeah. But he wants to come on live. He wants questions. And listen, you could ask him questions about the Mets, from the early 80s till 86. He was there when Gooden came up. He was there when they traded for Hernandez and Carter. He was there when Strawberry came up. So there's so much stuff that you could ask Ed Lynch. It's going to be good. And John D'Acquisto, all right, and there's some great stories. His first spring training, he was lockered next to Willie Mays, all right?
That's unbelievable.
So, that's unbelievable. So you could ask him about that. You definitely have to get us some questions, or be on and ask these guys questions.
Yeah.
Joe Dell remembers the last show he was on. It was great. All right, we have some sad news too from the Yankees. Chris, you want to
Jesus
mention
Montero passed away. Really, it was I think it was a motorcycle accident.
Yeah.
He was one of those guys, like, he was our top prospect at the time. We can't trade this guy. They eventually traded him, but he was definitely one of our top prospects, or the top prospect at the time. Catcher for us a few years ago. Just didn't work out here. Ended up going to Seattle. I think that was in the Pineda trade. The Pineda move.
Yes, it was. It was
right?
Yes, that was the trade.
And that obviously didn't work out really for us either. But just sad news. He was a young guy. I think he was 35, 33.
Yeah, he was 35 years old.
Awful.
I think he only played 11 games for the Yankees after being touted as like the catcher of the future and all that stuff.
Yeah, before Gary Sanchez, he was our top catching prospect at the time. So
and it's and that's sad news. Gary Sanchez, it's funny how things work out. Thinking about Gary Sanchez, right? He was supposed to be the next great catcher too, and look. In that 1 year's time, how many teams did he get traded to? The Mets signed him, right? That was crazy. I don't know what happened.
Go back to this, Rob. All the prospects, you could have all the great prospects you want. To me, they're all lottery tickets, right? Some of them are going to hit. Some of them are not going to hit. Literally. So if you could trade, like, listen, if the Mets can get, if they could seriously get Tarek Skubal, you get him.
Yeah.
You get that guy. You get that guy in a heartbeat. You know what? Even if it's just for the 1 year, you take a chance like the Yankees did with Soto last year. You know what? Look what happened. They make it to the World Series. Will Skubal do that with the Mets? Yeah, maybe. You never know. But you know what? You take your shot. And out of the 4 guys that you're going to end up trading, 5 guys, you know what? 2 guys might be good. The rest are not going to be good. So you take a shot. You take the shot. That's it. So I would hope, if I'm a Met fan, if I can make that move, I'm doing it.
Listen, the Mets should have they had to learn their lesson with prospects, right? Look, Dom Smith was supposed to be the next great, right? Great hitter. Didn't work out for him. It's like you said, it's like a lottery ticket. Some tickets win, a lot more tickets lose. So I agree with you.
Sometimes you got to cash him in. Sometimes, listen, McLean, he looked great, right? Yeah,
Yes.
I'm probably not going to move him, but the other
No.
guys, yeah, maybe. Like if the player is right, it's got to be for a superstar. If I'm going to get rid of top prospects, right? And Skubal, you've seen him enough of him to say, okay, that guy's an ace. That's exactly what we need. Let's
That's
get
right.
him, you know?
Yeah, I agree 100%. All right, and today is Keith Hernandez's 72nd birthday. Chris, could you believe Keith Hernandez 72? I mean,
That's crazy, right? It
you
is
know,
nuts.
I mean, of course we hear him, all season long on SNY, but it's like we remember him and Mattingly playing first base for the Mets and the Yankees,
Yep.
and it seems like just yesterday.
I know it is. It's time flies, man. I mean, happy birthday to him. But should they fire their GM? I don't know, Dan. I would think they're going to give him one more year. If they don't make the playoffs next year after whatever moves he makes this year, yeah, I would think they're going to get rid of him and the manager if they don't get fired.
Yeah, I think they're both on watch. Mendy's on watch, and definitely Stearns is on watch. So listen, Stearns can't always think he's going to get lightning in a bottle with these guys,
right?
How did he even think Frankie Montas? Okay, what was he thinking? What was he thinking?
And we've been saying that since they signed him.
And we knew what was going to happen, and he gets injured first, so it's crazy. All right, I have a quick non-sports topic I wanted to bring up with you, Chris. All right, we'll do a non-baseball topic, okay? Because yesterday I was in the store,
okay,
and they already have Christmas music playing.
Oh boy, oh,
what is going on? What is going on?
Can we at least get through one thing at a time here? Can we at least get through Halloween? I always say, like, at least wait till Thanksgiving is over.
Me too.
Until you start I think after Thanksgiving, after you have that day with your family, the turkey and all that, and you see the parade and Santa coming down, and you see and we have the football games on Thanksgiving. After that, you start to feel like, all right, Christmas is here, or it's coming. You have that feeling. I don't feel like, no matter what is playing, no matter what you see in stores, I don't have that. You don't have that feeling yet, right?
Right.
So that part, I hate it. I hate to listen to it now.
And I'll tell you what. And I said, I'm like, a little out loud, but I'm like, I can't believe they have Christmas music. And some lady said, you know what? This is stupid. I really started her. She's like, this is stupid. Yep. Really? It's not even Halloween yet. And it is. It's stupid. Why are we rushing everything? All right. Why are we rushing our lives?
Right. Everything is like a ghost runner.
It's fast enough already. But
I know.
I just thought.
And it seems like every year it starts a little bit sooner, right?
Yes, you're right. Yes. And this morning I met a big baseball Met and Yankee fan, Sam Levy, and he took a picture with me. He wanted to get a picture with me, which was pretty cool.
I think that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I'll put that picture up. We'll put that up Thursday because we're not going to have a Friday show, right? Because the World Series starts on Friday.
Yeah, we're either going to do Wednesday or Thursday night preview for the World Series. We're going to have a huge Blue Jays fan to come on that I asked to come on from Twitter/X. So he's going to come on and join us Wednesday or Thursday. We'll put it up. I'm just trying to straighten out what day is going to be best for him. But it should be one of those 2 days.
All right, so that's good. So we will have either Wednesday or Thursday show, and we're not going to have a Friday show, right? Because of the World Series.
We could still come on Friday night if you want.
All right, I'll come on. All right, we're gonna come on Friday night, but we're gonna have a special World Series show either Wednesday or Thursday. So write this down. Hey, Anthony Finkel, what's up, bro?
What's up, Anthony?
Yeah, let's write this. Let's write this down, everybody. We're gonna do either a Wednesday or Thursday show, and we will do a Friday show. So you guys are gonna see us all week. And then remember, next Monday and the following Monday we have players. So have questions for these guys, please, because those are gonna be really fun shows.
Yeah.
So that's it. I have nothing else, Chris. How about you?
No, I think that's it. I think I'm good. Like I said, we'll put it out on. It'll be the Wednesday or Thursday night for our World Series preview show with the Blue Jays fan. Huge Blue Jays fan. I'm looking forward to talking to him. We'll see if it's going to be the Blue Jays Dodgers or the Mariners Dodgers in the World Series. I'm really curious. It looks like it's going to be the Blue Jays, but either way, he's going to come on and chat with us. And yeah, I'm sure Joe is going to have questions. He always has questions. Thank you, Joe.
Yeah.
But we want to see everybody with questions, right?
Yeah.
I mean, to talk to a major leaguer and to ask questions that you've always wanted to ask a major leaguer, and with Ed Lynch, you're not just a major leaguer, but also a guy that became a GM. So that's another thing that opens up, questions. How do they, I want to ask him about how they go through the trade process. How do they, start contacting teams about their players being traded, or if they're selling, if they're buying, whatever it is. So I'm really curious to talk to these guys these next 2 weeks. So I'm looking forward to it. We got a nice busy schedule.
Yeah, we have a nice busy schedule. And now that I know, good, we're going to do a Friday show. We're going to do maybe a Thursday or Wednesday show. So we're going to have a lot of fun. But just make sure that you guys, and thank you, Dan, we really appreciate it, come up with some questions for the guys, because we want everybody involved. And listen, the last time Ed Lynch was on, people loved it. We got a lot of.
And listen, the best way to keep up with our shows and all that is through YouTube. So if you got a YouTube account, go on there and find our show, NYMOB Talk, and just hit that like button and hit the subscribe button, and you'll get notified whenever our shows come up. Right. So if we set a show up, it'll be up there, and you'll see it coming up Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Monday. You'll see it pop up. So you'll know when to show up. But we've been pretty good with our times. I think after the season ends, maybe we'll go different times just to feel it out a little bit. But I'm looking forward to it. I think the next couple of weeks is going to be good. And then free agency starts, and we know we know we're going to get really busy then, where these guys are going to go.
And we're going to have a lot. Listen, we're going to get, you guys have questions for our guests. We're going to have a lot of different guests coming on. I've reached out to a bunch of ex-players, some players. So listen, you guys, if you're out there, they love seeing you. They want to be on the show when there's an audience that asks questions. They definitely do. So make sure you do that. And also check us out on TikTok. Our clips are on TikTok, and that's one place that we are exploding is TikTok. We have a lot of followers, and we have a lot of people who get involved with it. So
we're huge really TikTokers. That's kind of funny to say.
Well, all of a sudden we got big on TikTok. What can I tell you? But anyway, all right, Chris. We'll see everybody either Wednesday or Thursday.
Sounds good.